Saif Ali Khan, welcome to Express Adda.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for making time for us and being here today.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Saif Ali Khan, it's a privilege to have him here today. He's a National Award winner. He's a Padma Shri, and he's one of our finest, well-read, and for the want of a better word, a cerebral actor. So Saif is, of course, many other things which a lot of people here would know about. I mean, he cooks and he does lovely treasure hunt clues, and he's a man of, of many parts. So we hope we'll talk to him a bit about his journey, a little bit about cinema, and of course the world in general. So, Saif, is there anything you want to start with, or something about how you're feeling today, and then we'll get into it?
Well, no, I mean, I've been watching an American sitcom called Last Man Standing. I don't know if you've seen it. It stars Tim Allen. I think he's a Republican. It's quite politically incorrect. And so many issues they raise on that show were fascinating, because I think we do live in times where celebrities, and not without cause, should be very cautious, are very cautious about what they say. People are generally cautious about what they say because things get blown out of proportion so quickly. And I think, I don't know if that's okay. I think we live in so much fear. And whether that fear is founded or unfounded, I'm not sure. Whether it's just social media, whether it's nameless faces making comments, or whether that can actually translate into any kind of damage, I'm not sure. But it makes me a little uncomfortable to think that we can't speak our minds. So that's one reason I accepted this invitation, in order to share thoughts with you, hopefully to be as honest as possible, and not to be worried or scared. So here we are. Good evening.
We just starting from your own journey, Saif, there's something that your mother, Sharmila Tagore, said in an interview which was very striking. And she said that, like all non-conformist parents who want their children to immediately conform, she wanted Saif and her, other children to settle down in school. But she says that he always preferred the seas to the comfort of the harbor. And, you had this education abroad and all that, and you decided to be an actor. So take us through that, when you decided to kind of maybe not pursue something more conventional and wanted to become an actor.
My father told me when I was very young, he said I could forget about any kind of inheritance from him, and that he doesn't have the kind of money that I'm imagining. And growing up in Delhi, where there were a lot of wealthy people, he said, you're not like that. He said, what I will do is send you to a good school and hopefully to a good university. And I think that's the greatest gift I can give you. And the rest is up to you. So I managed to get into Winchester College. It's a very academic institution. And sadly, after a while, I kind of lost complete interest in academics and pursuing anything that would lead to some kind of 9-to-5 job. I found that frightening, and I knew at a very young age that that's not what I wanted. And it was a great cause of worry to my parents, because, my father, having been to Winchester and Oxford and had a very analytical kind of mind, used to say, sit down with a piece of paper and say what you can do, what you can't do, what you like doing, and used to make these lists. And anyway, to cut a long story short, everyone was worried that what will this guy do? And somebody came to Bombay, B.R. Chopra, the late Ravi Chopra, came to Delhi to meet my parents and offered an ad to me and something to do with movies. And for the first time I felt a sense of purpose, a sense of direction. I thought moving to Bombay, renting my own little flat and working on a creative enterprise like a film would be just the most exciting thing I could think of, for everything that came with it. The different hours, the creativity, the new people. And I just remember that. And I was very, very fortunate to, I think, probably come into films at a time where the audiences were also quite forgiving. I was straight out of England. I used to speak Hindi with a bit of an accent. But people were kind, the press were kind, and I think I got better. And have been in love with that profession ever since. So I think a lot of actors have started like that. at least in this city. Not the most brilliant academic record. Some have.
Saif, what you did, I think, starting with Dil Chahta Hai and all, took your work to a completely different level. But in the 90s, the kind of films you did, and they did not do very well either at that time. Did you ever feel that you may want to give this up? Or were you confident that you can
It
play a
wasn't
part
that.
that you
I think I had, burnt my bridges, and I think that was a good thing to do. I mean, there was just no other option except eventually succeeding, and it was very frightening because at various times there seemed to be nothing working, and it was quite disheartening. Also, the 90s, I think, was a terrible time generally for movies. There were a lot of people making movies who probably shouldn't have been making movies, and a lot of people acting in movies that also had no business being there. It wasn't a creative time. It seemed, everything from the underworld to, just not a very appealing kind of intellectual person was making films. And I think somewhere the name of the game became trying to get as many people as possible into the theater and to constantly dumb things down, So there was no connect, really, between me and what I was doing. And as you say, that changed when Farhan Akhtar offered me Dil Chahta Hai. For the first time, you weren't playing another version of Mr. Bachchan or, Shashi Kapoor. You were playing a guy in a t-shirt and shorts. And it was uncharted territory, really, for all of us, because the seniors looked down and said, this is never going to work, and, you're doing live sound and trying to be all organized and trying to make India like Hollywood. There was a lot of resistance to that kind of progress. But Farhan was pretty clear what he wanted, and it was so liberating being part of something like that.
But what happened, you think, in the new millennium? I mean, this is 2001 and films change, and you did an incredible number of and kinds of characters, and at a time, and I'm sure you've answered this ad nauseum, but take us through that.
Yes, it depends what your mental image is or what your ideal was. And at that point, I really looked up to, American actors like Johnny Depp, who consequently have become superstars, but at that time were people who made really interesting choices, and despite being box office, friendly and saleable, they constantly did stuff that was a little edgier and I thought cooler. And I always wanted to think of myself like that the dream for me would be to be saleable at the box office, but at the same time to promote something a little more edgy. And maybe I shouldn't go so far abroad as to look at Johnny Depp, maybe even looking at my mother's career. Someone who was always a mainstream star and saleable, but would also promote, whether it's Bengali cinema or something a little more artistic, is what I think gives longevity and an interesting angle to an actor, and something I think we need to do.
Saif, I mean, there's lots said about your aesthetic sense and, and your creative pursuits as opposed to just kind of maybe running around trees. I mean, that's a very good thing to do, but perhaps not always. So how did you kind of, the kind of person you are, you read a lot and, you probably have thoughts which don't always kind of, find an immediate fit with a lot of scripts and all. So was Bombay different or difficult for somebody like you?
Initially, like I say, in the 90s it was a different time, but after Dil Chahta Hai, there's been lots of things in common.
Why
with
did that
so many.
Change, you think?
I think films is just a reflection of what the country is going through.
Is it the multiplex?
The multiplex is another conversation. I mean, the kind of films, I remember Aditya Chopra telling me that this is the market we've got to hit. When he started with Hum Tum and films like that, and Ek Hasina Thi, he said, this is the market that we've got to look at. So that's an entire different conversation. I mean, you mentioned the national award for Hum Tum. A lot of people think I got it for Omkara, but it was for Hum Tum. And recently there was some uproar with people, objecting to old Akshay getting it for Rustam. And then somebody wrote, well, I mean, if they've given it to Saif for Hum Tum, of course they can give it to him, because it's quite offensive, I thought. And I want to defend that,
Please
because
do, yeah.
It was such an easy movie, but I remember Aditya Chopra telling me this film goes against all the normal films we've ever made here, you know. The heroine's going to get married to somebody else, then her husband's going to die, and then you're going to sleep with her, and then she's going to, and I actually want you to kiss her, that also hasn't happened before, and then she's going to turn around and say, don't feel sorry for me, you can't just, marry me or go out with me because you slept with me. So all this was really progressive. And there's no mother and father. The only issue is your own mind. And the whole film was a series of conversations. And I thought, I can't imagine how this will run. And the idea was to be as charming as possible and to make those scenes, which are just conversations, hold. And there were some 3-4 minute conversations without a cut. And when we pulled that off and it looked easy and effortless, I take a little bit of offense when people say, oh, it's so easy, nothing. I think it changed cinema in a way. And is the kind of precursor to all the kind of modern love stories we're seeing today. And all credit to Aditya Chopra for doing that. And I think, we were successful in making it look so easy that people don't take it seriously.
Yeah.